Welcome to this episode of the Dropout Multi-Millionaire Podcast, where we talk about tactical business strategy, building high-performance sales teams, and growing your business. If you're ready to break free from the status quo and join the ranks of the mavericks, the rebels, and the renegades who refuse to conform and instead build multi-million-dollar businesses, then buckle up, because here we go. Welcome back to the Dropout Multi-Millionaire Podcast. I am your host, Brian Will, and today we're going to talk about the psychology of sales and how it relates to sales management. And stay tuned, by the way, at the end of this episode, I'm going to tell you where you can get my brand new video masterclass on sales for your sales team. The course consists of 15 video modules and a workbook. It is on pre-order right now at a huge discount to the end of the month. You're going to want to get this one. Okay, let's jump right into sales management. How do we effectively manage a team of sales professionals? That's what we're going to talk about today. How do we crank up their sales? How do we increase their close ratios so that everyone makes more money? And I always like to start this discussion with a question. What motivates salespeople? If I were to ask 100 sales managers this question, 90 of them will probably say the obvious: money. And yes, money is a motivator. Some would say rewards and incentives. And again, yes, that is a motivator. Both of those are money motivators. But I have one more that most people don't think about. And this one is based on human psychology and human nature. And I call it the laziness factor. And here's how it works. While yes, salespeople are motivated by money, even more so, they are limited by their personal wants and needs. And this is where we're going to focus. Salespeople tend to be limited by the amount of money they need to pay their personal bills and support their personal lifestyle. Now, salespeople will never admit this, and most sales managers, quite frankly, don't understand it, and that's the problem. As a sales manager, unless you understand this motivator, you will struggle to get your team to perform at its highest possible level. And you will miss out on coaching opportunities, and this will all be because you think that it's all about making more money, and it's not. In fact, you show me a sales organization, and I will show you different levels of performance by different people. In other words, while Susan over here might be making $150,000 a year, year after year, John, on the other hand, is only making $100,000 a year, year after year. They have the same product, they have the same lead source, they have the same commission structure. Their opportunity is identical, but their performance is different. Why is that? Let me give you an example. Have you ever seen a salesperson that has a monthly goal, hit that goal before the month is over, and then slack off or do what we call sandbagging? Of course you have. If you've run any sales organization, you have salespeople who sandbag. Why do they do that? Why aren't they out there pushing to the end of the month to make even more money over and above goal? This is where the laziness factor kicks in. The problem is they already met their needs and wants goal. And now they have the opportunity to back off and take it easy for a few days. Maybe go golfing. Let me use myself as an example. If I need to make $150,000 a year, and to do that, that's $12,500 a month, and I know that provides me a nice lifestyle, if I hit my goal by the 20th of the month, in my mind, I can take the next 10 days off, which makes my lifestyle even better. I win. And by the way, this issue is amplified if I have a book of business that already gets me part of, if not most of the way there. My work ethic will go down even more. Why would I push when I can take time off and still make the money I need? I'm going to be lazy. In fact, I had a conversation just yesterday with a business owner who told me that the problem with his sales team is that they make too much money. They have the opportunity to make a hell of a lot more, but they're already making enough and they don't care. Great problem to have, right? Now, in my previous example where Susan was making 150 and John was only making 100, the problem is that John might not need to make 150 to support his lifestyle. He only needs 100. So he produces at that level, satisfies his needs and wants, and he is happy. The challenge we have as sales managers is trying to manage the balance between where the sales rep's goal is against what the company needs. This is a goal alignment and compensation plan issue. and it's very common in a lot of companies. The challenge with John is that he is happy with his income. The problem for the company is that he is potentially losing opportunities to sell clients. And lost opportunities cost the company money in both wasted marketing costs and lost revenue. And this hurts everyone else's P&L performance across the board. In this scenario, John is happy, but the company suffers. So, how do we properly incentivize people to change their behavior or their limiting beliefs to match what the company needs? How do we help them move up to the next level? And how do we help them overcome the laziness factor? When we look at sales organizations, we generally see sales reps broken down into 3 levels of sales. I call this the 20-70-10 rule. 20% of your team are superstars. They are what's possible. 70%, they're good salespeople, but they're average, and they are the bread and butter in the organization. And then we have found that 10% generally need to be replaced. What's important here, as it relates to our conversation, is that the top 20% of our sales reps do represent what is possible. They maximize marketing dollars, and they represent the goal that every salesperson should be striving for. The problem is they also represent lost opportunity, lost revenue, and lost marketing dollars that the organization could get if all of our people were operating at full capacity. So in a backwards kind of way, our top sales reps represent lost potential. Now, we also understand that the entire sales organization will never operate at a maximum performance level. Everybody will not be a top sales rep. So we as leaders need to make a decision as to what is acceptable. Where is the balance between what is possible and what is acceptable? Once we find the balance, that becomes the new goal. And we now have to build compensation and bonus structures around that goal. Now, this is going to get a little technical here, so follow me. This new goal becomes an individual profit and loss statement on each salesperson. In other words, each sales rep has to hit their P&L goal. As an example, let's say that your goal in your company is that each individual sales rep has to meet a 20% profit margin on $1 million of revenue. Those are the 2 goals they have to hit to match the new aligned, allowable goal that the company has. Both the comp plan and the bonus structure need to be structured in such a way that will align the sales rep's behavior to match both their personal and the company goals. This can't be just a pay for performance. Straight line pay for performance without goal alignment elements encourages the laziness factor. I know that was complicated, but stay with me here. So let's break this down into 2 areas. One is base compensation, and the second is bonus structure. Base compensation should be structured in such a way that the average salesperson can get to the allowable goal. This is the allowable, aligned goal that balances marketing and sales cost against revenue generated. In many instances, we see straight line commission structures in the companies that I work with. In other words, we'll pay you 10% of sales. And this is where companies get into trouble. If I need a sales rep to sell $1.5 million and make $150,000 a year, but they only care about making $100,000 a year, they will generally produce enough to make their $100,000, and they will not hit their allowable aligned goal of production against marketing and sales cost. They will not hit their individual P&L number. Now, the question is, what do we do about that? And there are different ways to fix this. And this is one of the things I work with in my advisory practice. For instance, we can build a tiered comp plan. This plan pays reps less at the beginning and increases comp as sales revenue goes up. So instead of paying somebody a straight 10% on 1.5, let's say we pay them 5% on the first 500,000, 10% on the second 500,000, and 15% on the third 500,000. After that, we go back to a straight line 10. In this scenario, our $100,000 producer would make $25,000 on the first 500, $50,000 on the second 500, but he would need to produce a total of 1.17 million to get back to the same 100,000 he used to get at $1 million in production. The company gets an extra $170,000 of revenue, which, by the way, is at a much higher profit margin due to fixed OpEx, but they're paying the same commission payout, and the profit for the company goes up. The sales rep still makes the 100,000 he needs, and everybody wins. We now have goal alignment. Now, there are many ways to achieve this. This is one scenario. I just wanted to throw it out here. With that, let's move on to incentives. And I see organizations mess up incentive programs all the time. There are rules for incentives, and if you do not follow them, they will not give you the results that you are looking for. Incentives or bonuses should be designed to push people past their comfort zone and past their normal production. It should be extraordinary production that earns you a bonus. Incentives need to change behavior, not just pay out money. There are 3 rules to incentives that I want you to remember. 1, they need to be achievable by everybody. 2, they need to be substantial. And 3, you need to set shorter time frames for bonuses to be earned. These are critical. Now, the first rule is they need to be achievable by everyone. And you might think this is weird, but ideally, you want everybody on your sales team to earn the incentive, because that means everybody went above and beyond. And that means more sales at higher margins. Everybody wins. Incentives need to come from increased margins generated from additive sales over and above fixed OpEx. It sounds complicated, but that's the rule. In other words, you can't just say the top salespeople are going to earn the bonus. That is a waste. The same people are generally always top in sales, which means the balance of the organization will never push past ordinary production. You will not change behavior because they know they can't achieve the bonus. They won't even try. Now, the second rule is it's got to be substantial. In other words, if I make $150,000 a year and you're going to give me a $50 bonus, I don't care. It's not worth my time. The bonus needs to be designed to change, again, my otherwise normal behavior, to push me to do something extraordinary. And that means it has to be substantial enough for me to actually want to go out of my comfort zone. The third is that your incentive can't be pushed too far out. If you set your incentive out to the end of the year, I'm not going to care until maybe June, maybe even October. It's not close enough for me to feel like it's something I'm going to achieve. And so therefore, I'm not going to worry about it right now. You as an organization have now wasted 6 to 8 months of potential game-changing behavior that could have generated millions of dollars in sales. Okay, these are the 3 rules. They're based on psychology and human nature, and I promise you, they will work for you if you implement them. And finally, I want to touch on expectations management. And this is big with sales managers. And we're going to talk about individual sales rep goal setting. And my question for you as a sales manager is this: are you sitting down with each team member individually? Do you know as a manager what their goals are? And I mean specifically. And do they have those goals written down? Have you gone the extra step to reverse engineer whatever those goals are for each one of your sales reps? Have you given them monthly, weekly goals, call goals, appointments, quotas, close ratios, whatever metrics you track? Have you written those down and showed them how to achieve whatever goal it is that they're trying to achieve? And by the way, this applies to everyone on the team. Are you checking in with them continuously? Are you actively managing each sales rep's goals? Have you built success metric charts for each one of your team members so that they can track where they are? And are you keeping it updated? It's interesting. I was just talking to an organization a couple of weeks ago. I was talking to one of their executives, and I asked him what his personal goals were for himself as it related to the company. And he proceeded to tell me about his income goals, his philanthropy goals, and what he wanted to do with the money he was going to make working for the organization. Now, when he was done, I asked him a simple question: does the CEO know what your goals are? And he thought about it for a moment, And he looked at me and he said, no, the CEO's never asked. Here's a key, guys. You need to sit down with your team and find out what they want in life and from this job. How much money do they want to make? What are their goals? And how does that fit together? Is it aligned? Do their goals fit with a corporate goal? And if not, how do you fix that? Once the goals are in alignment, it is your job as the sales leader to make sure that they are on track every week. Here's a tip. If you slide 1 week in goal management, you will lose 2 weeks. If you slide 2 weeks in active goal management, you will lose a month. Your job as a leader is to help your team stay on track, and that requires you doing it every single day. This is the type of management that will overcome the laziness factor, but it's an everyday, every week thing. They can't slack off unless you let them. Here's the deal. If you are a sales manager and if you have a team, you have one goal. You are here to make the team better. If you're not doing that, then you as a sales manager are failing your team. Now, this is a huge topic and it has a lot of specifics that I don't have time to get into. There are sales management systems that we work with companies and we build, implement, and manage. They all take time. This is what I do. I would love to work with your company if you guys have any interest. Go to my website, brianwillmedia.com. Click on the training tabs. You'll see links to the new online training course I told you about. Again, it's a 15 video module training class for you and your team, along with the workbook. It's a shorter version of the one-on-one stuff I do in face-to-face trainings. After you listen to it, if you like it, if you have any questions, leave me a message on the website and I'll get back with you. That's it for today. I appreciate you being with me on the Dropout Multi-Millionaire Podcast. And remember, you have to be in the game to win the game. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you would like to get more information on either one of my books or my one-on-one coaching programs, you can find me at brianwillmedia.com or thedropoutmm.com.